The British airmen, who, undaunted by odds, unwearied in their constant challenge and mortal danger, are turning the tide of the world war by their prowess and by their devotion. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. The battle of Britain is about to begin. The whole fury and might of the enemy must very soon be turned on us. Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose the war. If we can stand up to him, all Europe may be freed, and the life of the world may move forward into broad, sunlit uplands. But if we fail, then the whole world will sink into the abyss of a new dark age. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
Finest hour. Time in war is so important, and World War II was the first war using modern equipment, but it's easy to forget there were still no computers. There was very basic radar, rudimentary radio communications, still observer corps, people using sextants for navigation, manual telephone exchanges, and plotters moving wooden markers around large maps. You know, being able to monitor time, to calculate speed in location, this was all vital, and it was areas that were recognized by armed forces around the world. So even before World War II, they were developing detailed specifications. And you can see here the German Flieger Flyer-Watch, pilot, air observer, navigator watch, very famous, manufactured by Stover, Larco, Lange, IWC, Vepe, big watch, 55 millimeters, designed to wear over a flight suit. So used to pick up on time signals sent by radio, vital for navigation, vital to coordinate bombing missions. So, German Luftwaffe, very well prepared. And this was a big watch. You can see here a B-style Larco compared to my 44 millimeter Dark Side of the Moon, and it's just a huge watch and very famous in its own right, and a lot of modern versions created. For the Air Ministry in the UK, you can see here the 1275 instrument manual, also taking navigation very seriously, watches in clocks, and for individual pilots and navigators to have the ability to monitor time was critical. And you can see here details on the Mark 7A, which then leads us on to the famous 6B 1559 watches of the war. Just another mention again, some German pilots synchronizing watches, and here you can see some an Allied pilot and ground crew possibly on a training mission. So very important, and many of you will have known in the recent film Dunkirk, the Spitfire pilot played by Tom Hardy is using an Omega watch when his fuel gauge is broken to monitor the fuel that he had left, how long he could stay in the air. So that was the CK2129 with the 23.4 SC movement, which was first Omega movement with center seconds, and that had a lockable Weems bezel, so you could fix that to fix a time point. I don't think it was a hacking movement, it was manual wind. And you can see here an urgent order from 1940, and I think a total of 2,000 were supplied. That was quite a complex watch with the bezel, and then there was a more economic model, which is the famous CK or UK version 2292 with the very famous 30 T2 SC movement. Actually probably had better anti-magnetic properties, and was also a very reliable and famous movement. And we'll come on to more details on that watch later. I just think it's useful again to see, there's a couple of shots here from bomber crew, the use of watches for navigators and observers really was so critical. And of the 110,000 watches supplied to the UK, all from Switzerland, 50% were Omega. Some of those were sub-seconds, 30T2. I think the 30T2 SC, I believe there are only 3,000. I'm still looking for a copy of the orders, if anyone's got those documents. Moving away from just watches as well, I think it's really important just to think about what these guys were going through. You look at how cramped it was inside of these aircraft with wing spurs running across the middle of the plane. These are things made of wood, really thin aluminium, perspex, just nothing between you and the elements and cannon fire and heavy machine gun fire. And, you know, just amazing what these people went through, and really they're just in suits. I think that's the thing. You know, we look at a watch now and it's just a simple 33mm wristwatch, but you know, this is what these guys were fighting with. You know, this was important technology, and we can see here a VC for a guy basically climbed back into his plane. He was going to bail out and carried on to attack and shoot down another aircraft. You know, he's hit by 4 cannon shells. I think he nearly lost an eyelid. He was shot through his foot by a cannon shell, and he's in a suit, and they've still kept the suit he was wearing. That's blood you can see on the sleeve. He did survive, and he's just in business shoes. You know, the guy's been shot with a cannon shell, and I've actually found a picture of his wife holding, that's the actual shoe. That's what a cannon shell does to a shoe. And you know, this is what these guys are, just in business suits. And when he's in normal day wear, that's kind of what he was wearing in the air. And there he is with his watch, and we can actually see and hear from him because there was some video taken.
Well, Nick, what does it feel like to have a medal now?
As a matter of fact, fella, it's caused me a hell of a lot of physical and financial embarrassment.
Well, Nick, what are you going to do when you get off on leave tomorrow?
I'm going straight up north, see my son, get him christened, and you're going to be his godfather.
Well, we better hurry up with it and drink up quickly.
I guess you're right.
Sadly, he didn't survive the war like so many of the pilots. I think, and aircrew in general, I think static pictures convey something of what's going on. But I've got a little bit of video after this. I think you need to be in the mindset a little bit of what these people went through, and just to understand why a lot of these watches are so important. Yeah, so horrific and inspiring in equal measure, and just these people are so young, you know, in their teens, early 20s. You've got women have to go to work for the first time, working in, you know, high-tech support. Just all of these people so impressive. And it was watches like this, 30T2 SC movement. So that would be the CK2292 or the UK2292. CK was stainless steel case, UK was light alloy case, I think with a stainless steel back. This came in 1942. Others did supply this style of watch, Ebel, Longines, etc., leading up to that. But the 30T2 SC had a great reputation from the observatory trials. It wasn't chronometer rated, but it's very easy to regulate and very accurate. And it obviously from the family of 30mm movements developed in the late 30s, which everyone would say is the pinnacle of years of research with Omega. which accumulated in that design and really cemented their reputation for accuracy and technological advancement, and enabled higher production levels of watches. And I think that's why 50%, well, also because World War One, they had a really great reputation with the UK armed forces, and I think that's why 50% of the watches supplied ended up coming from Omega. Some of these were sub-seconds. The 30T2 I think would be sub-seconds, but the SC is the sweep central seconds. That's a manual wind 16 joule movement with actually, I believe, a 44-hour reserve, so a lot more than some of the other watches from other suppliers. The blue pair hands, white face in the large Arabic numerals, just listed as a special dial in hands for the Air Ministry, which goes back to the 1275 spec we saw at the start and is similar to the specs required from other manufacturers. I believe only 3,000 of the CK and UK2292 were supplied, but I'm still looking for confirmation of that or copies of the orders. I know that only 2,000 of the, I always get my numbers mixed up at that point, 2129, what I'd call the real Battle of Britain watch, if you like, were supplied. But I think the CK2292, you could call it the Spitfire or the Hurricane watch, but really the RAF watch, I think it was the one that most of the aircrew would have used for the full duration of the war. I think the 30T2SC also had an alloy balance spring, which gave it a little bit more anti-magnetic qualities than the 23.4 SC, and also would be a bit cheaper because it didn't have the complexity of the lockable outer bezel. It did have a snapback case, and I don't think it had the best reputation for being waterproof, which I think towards the end of the war more watches came in, and a lot of these were recased in 1956, I believe. So surviving watches that are in the original cases, especially if they were in the light alloy version, need a little bit of TLC, but they do show us amazing patina and just what history. And I just think when you're wearing mechanical watches anyway, it just keeps you grounded. And I think when you look at this and the way it was selected, and that leads me on really to the Speedmaster and the NASA test. You know, it's real history, and these were real tool watches. Anyway, this is a really complex topic, and I'd encourage you to do your own research. There's a lot of different watches, and I've only focused on RAF. There's a lot more information around that, and also around watches supplied to the Army. I think just, I don't want to go off topic too much, but just to say, you know, the sacrifice these people made, how lucky a lot of us are today, and the debt we do owe past generations. I think for me, this watch and the watches of this era, you know, it's a pilot's watch, but it keeps me grounded, if you get my drift. But as I say, I'd encourage you to do your own research. I hope this has been interesting. I've tried to set a flavour for the period, not just the technology of the watches, which I think is important to understand what they mean to people. And thanks for watching. And yeah, I've got some detailed reviews to come, a lot of videos in progress, and yeah, appreciate the support.